Welcome to Loco Gringo, Mexico, the place where we transform a tourist into a traveler, because you deserve to see more of the world than just what's in a guidebook. Each week, we talk with amazing locals who know the Riviera Maya and Yucatan like only a local can, and get them to share their tips and insights on the local scene, culture, and cuisine from a local's perspective. So, pour yourself a margarita, grab a comfy chair, and let's get the show going.
Hi, everybody. This is Kay Walton, your host. Thanks for joining us today. Well, we're going to be talking to Tamara Adame. And Tamara is born and raised here in Riviera Maya, Puerto Morelos to be specific. And what's so amazing about that is that so many people that you meet here are from other parts of Mexico or other parts of the world. And Tamara talks about her time in Europe, and she followed her heart back to the Riviera Maya, and she discovered her passion for ecology and marine biology, and she coupled that up with becoming a dive instructor, and now she has a business that is a dive business, but with a little bit more of a twist to it, because she takes the time to educate her customers, her clients, the divers, to educate people about the marine environment, about sustainability and environmental protection, so that the reef remains healthy and that people can really have a more in-depth experience besides just looking at pretty fish. So Tamara's going to share some great insights into the underwater realm, but she's also going to give us some tips on how you can have a really memorable experience while you're visiting the Riviera Maya and Yucatan. This episode is brought to you by Playa. You know, lots of people ask us for information and help when it comes to real estate, whether they're looking for retirement, an investment property, or maybe they're looking to relocate to the area. And we refer them over to our friends at Playa. The folks at Playa we've known for years, and they'll make sure that you, the buyer, are fully protected and informed when it comes to buying real estate. So if you're looking to buy a piece of paradise, check out our friends at buyplaya.com. Tamara, how are you?
Hello. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I have to say, I'm so thrilled that Perry McFarland from Can Do Maps or CancunMap.com connected us, because I don't know if I've ever met someone who is actually raised in born and raised in Cancun, and you are from Cancun, correct?
Yes. Well, actually, I am from Puerto Morelos. And I'm very proud to say it, but so very, very often people ask me, but are you really from there? How can you be from there if there was nothing 30 years ago? And so, but I am from there. My parents arrived in this area a really long time ago, and they actually settled in Puerto Morelos around maybe 78, 79, something like this.
Wow.
And I was born in 83. So when I was born, there were no hospitals, probably not running water or electricity or stuff like that. And it was only sandy streets and, the coconut from the beach and a few houses. And so my mom actually gave birth to me in Cancun, but they were already living in Puerto Morelos. So I went to be born in Cancun and back. Half an hour later, probably, I was back in my little village. And so, I'm one of those rare kids.
Wow, that's awesome. And I understand that you had an opportunity, though, growing up, that you were in Brussels for a while.
Yes, well, I spent most of my life between Puerto Morelos and Cancun, and then I spent 4 years in Merida studying in the university over there. And right after that, I went to Europe for a long trip, and it was initially planned to be for a year. And probably about 10 years later, I decided to come back home. So I stayed for the most part in Belgium and Brussels, and I lived there, worked there, studied, and did all sorts of things. And then at some point, I just had my heart calling me back home. So I've been back since November 2014.
Now, did you come back specifically with your passion to be a scuba instructor, or was that something you discovered once you moved back home?
No, well, I started diving when I was very, very young, when I was a little girl, and actually I didn't dive much while I was living here. Ironically, I started being more interested in diving when I was living in Brussels, and I never thought I'm going to be an instructor, but at some point I was in this dilemma what to do with my life and maybe having a bit of the 30-year-old crisis. And I felt pretty much inclined to be in nature, and I didn't want to work in an office anymore. And I was thinking I have to be outside, I have to go and just experience nature. And I think for me, the one concept of nature that I had was the ocean. So it was very obvious that I went on to making a diving career. Because I grew up here, because I knew lots of things about the ocean, because I grew up with parents and in my surroundings, well, lots of people interested in biology and marine subjects. So I think that I put off for later something that I could have done from the beginning. And then when it was time to change careers, for me, it was obvious. So, I just went on and did it.
That's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of people who start diving and take it up for a while. But from what I understand, one of the differences with your passion for diving is that you try to educate people along the way. You have an ecology, kind of a ecology marine biology school, correct?
Exactly. Yes, I have a project, and it's actually very interesting because I partner up with a friend of mine from childhood, and she was also born here, and she's also from Puerto Morelos, and she also spent a big part of her life abroad in Spain. And so when we met again a couple of years ago, we were both we clicked in a very simple way, and we realized we have both become scuba instructors. And I studied communications. She studied marine biology, and she's worked in different places, and me too. And then we just had the same idea, we want to dive like we would have wanted to dive before, and we haven't found a place or a dive shop or a company that takes us diving the way we really wish. So we made really long lists of things that we liked, that we didn't like, and one of the main things was that no one has ever showed us much in terms of biology or ecology about the environment that we're visiting. So you go diving and you come back and it's really cool, but people are not really taking the time to explain what we're going to see, even to beginners. First time divers, they go in the reef and they come back and they don't know what they looked at. So having that in mind, we created the project that is our big baby, little baby, fat baby. It's called Manatus Mexico. So with the principle of using scuba diving as a means to share this passion and to also educate people in what we're doing while diving, so it stops being just a sport or a technical activity where you learn how to operate your gear, but you're also you're confronted to the animals that you're looking at, the organisms, the logic and the chains, the food chains, or the symbiosis. There's so many things in the ocean that we're unaware of. So we are exactly very passionate about sharing it, and also it's been a very interesting path in opening a company that is not only going to be operating within an industry, that we have to create something that's unique, that is sustainable, and maybe more importantly, that is something everybody can copy and reproduce. So we realized that tourism is, in this area especially, but worldwide too, is very important. And our country is thriving everywhere with tourism, with diving, with marine activities. But how many of us are actually promoting this sustainability from the creation of the companies? So that means I'm not operating my company, and then at the end I'm going to check how much can I give back to repair the damage that we do, So we're doing that a step before. So we created the company on the basis of sustainable tourism, and we hope that a lot of people are going to like that concept and start replicating it, whether they already have a business or they are thinking of creating a new business. And also because sometimes we tend to think, but ecotourism or projects involving sustainability, they're not really profitable. And we want to change that thought. We want to prove that it is profitable to have a company that runs on sustainable principles.
That's amazing. And it was really refreshing is that most of the time when people start businesses, they don't want other people to copy them. And it's wonderful that you have this open mind and open heart is like that you welcome people to copy the concept of sustainability for their business. And in the end, the region and the tourism industry remains stronger because it has a sense of sustainability.
Exactly. Yes, and we are also trying to share a lot of principles that are not very obvious, because sometimes if I say the word sustainability, people will think, we should not pollute the environment, but it goes way beyond that concept, and it's also sustainability in terms of the culture. What am I doing to preserve the things that local fishermen, local captains have been doing for a really long time? Or what am I doing to ensure that people working in my operations are actually having a better quality of life by working for us? What am I doing to respect best practices, even if they're not local, but if someone is diving in Egypt or Indonesia and then they come and I meet them, there's always something I can learn from them that I can apply to my own environment. So it's a very organic way of thinking, and it's also integrating the concepts of the visitors together with the community and together with the environment. So none of those three gets run over by the other one. If we take a look at like a circle, let's say people visiting, they like the place, and then suddenly there are too many that they're displacing people living in the local village or town. So people originally from there, they cannot afford to live there anymore. They have to leave, and then we are losing a part of our heritage. If there's only local people and we are closed-minded and not open to new people, then we will be a very individual society, and we don't allow visitors. That wouldn't allow for tourism to thrive. And if local people, for instance, are depleting the ocean from the resources and polluting because we don't communicate the right way of handling our operations, then those visitors are not going to come anymore when we don't have the resources providing for it, So we try to show that model that the three elements have to be in balance, and that's part of our mission as well, to make sure that the work we're doing is promoting that balance rather than only promoting the touristic part, or rather than promoting just the community. We have to live together.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I think I think it's been a bit of a challenge for the Riviera Maya because it grew so rapidly.
Yeah. It has been crazy.
It's been crazy. And I mean, I've watched a lot of it since '92, and the growth seems so fast. And I don't know if people really realize, our listeners realize, most of the times, like if somebody lives in like the US or Canada or Europe, if they grow up in a little town and they might get a new traffic light or a new grocery store. Well, in the last 25 years, 35 years, in the Cancun, the Riviera Maya, not only do we get new traffic lights and grocery stores, but we have new highways, bigger airports. And I mean, all of this happened in such a very short period of time. And, so it's difficult without planning to have that balance that you mentioned.
Yeah, but I think that a little bit maybe we have this unbalance, and then the forces tend to compensate. So this is where we come in. We have, and I don't say we as me and my company, but us, everyone, everyone visiting, everyone who loves a certain place and has been coming for the last 5, 10, 15 years, everyone that is involved in those dynamics. It's up to us to balance what is going out of balance. Sometimes we're a little bit selfish and we say, like, why do I have to fix something that I didn't do? But we're already on the same boat, so there's not a lot of choices, We have to go in and do the best we can, whether you're working on tourism or not, because that's the other thing. A lot of people don't live by the beach, and they think, I don't live there, it doesn't concern me. It doesn't affect me, or the things that I do don't matter for that certain place, And this is totally not true. Talking about the beach and the ocean and the touristic destinations, they're all linked to everybody living in the area. In the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe you're not living on the shore, but still 60, 80, 100 kilometers inland, people are benefiting from the visitors that are coming to the Mayan Riviera, because all those people, eventually they go to Coba or they go to Chichen Itza, and it's not a beach destination, but they get the same people that visit us on the coast. So we have to stop thinking that we live in a little spot that has no influence over other spaces, and that's where we can also share the things that we know as locals with people coming from elsewhere. They come and you have this gorgeous opportunity to talk to a person from Canada for the whole day, because you spend the day together. So you can tell them, what is it like to go to Valladolid for us locals? Instead of telling them, go and buy the tour where they don't even ask your name, So that's how we get to influence and reinforce and enrich the activities that other people are offering, even if we are not in a business partnership. But I know in my community who is making the local tours, and who are the big operators, foreign companies that are offering the same tour in a much more detached perspective, or in a much more commercial way. So I think we can all really give that value to the tourism we're doing in our areas. And you have in the international airport over here in Cancun, how many company transportation vans do you have, like thousands? All those people, even if they're working for a company, all those people, they're individuals and they have a story. They might be from here or not, or from another place in Mexico, and they came here for work. But all those people have a chance every time someone jumps in their van to tell them something that will change their trip. Like some advice, what to do, what not to do. And so it's a very rich experience if you think of it. People have contact with hundreds of us when they come only for a week of holidays. So if we all start changing the way we think, we're going to be able to influence that tourism from the moment they arrive. It's actually very encouraging thought if you think about it.
It is absolutely an encouraging thought, and it's for the visitors to talk with locals and to have an open mind. It becomes a much more fulfilling and richer trip and experience to have that than to just buy a package from some big online company. You buy a package, you get on the bus, you go to the hotel, you never leave, you get back on the bus and go back to the airport. That there's really, it doesn't take much to have an incredible, unique experience when you're visiting the area.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you mentioned, and I'm going to come back around to the diving, that you take the time to explain to people about the marine community. And we have a lot of listeners who may not be scuba. We have some that are scuba divers, of course, but we have more people who, love the water and love to snorkel. What can you share with us in terms of things we might not know about the marine environment, that people can have a little bit of insight into experiencing the water, whether they're snorkeling or diving? What insight can you lend?
Well, for me, I think one of the most important things that I ever tell people, and I mean, like a surprise fact, when snorkeling or scuba diving or even walking on the beach, is that the reef is such a complex system of life that actually looking at it involves looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of organisms at the same time. So if you would look at like a square meter of reef, you'd be looking at so many animals, plants, algae, and all kinds of live beings that you wouldn't believe it. And if we would make a list, or if we would decompose each of the organisms, we'd have like a super long list of things maybe unpronounceable to many of us. But not being myself a biologist, I tend to give very simple explanations of those things. Because I'm not a scientist myself, but I've learned so much on this path to creating my company, and also before, because I was interested in marine life, that I like to tell people everybody can be more or less a self-taught scientist if you're just a little bit curious. So the first thing we say to people coming to snorkel or dive with us is, when we're teaching about the environment, did you know that corals are animals? And the amount of people that have sort of had the jaw drop, like, what? But it's a rock. No, it's not a rock. It's animals. It's colonies of polyps, and polyps are animals. So it's the beginning for a very long conversation about corals and soft corals and hard corals and massive corals and branching corals. So it's such a wonderful universe, and the information is available very easily through just something like Google, that is available for everybody. We just need to wake up that curiosity. And when you see something that you don't know, you cannot identify it, then please ask. Ask your guides, ask the fishermen, ask the people that you cross walking on the beach. There is so much traditional knowledge in the people working in the ocean that you wouldn't believe it. You don't really have to be like a doctor in marine biology to be able to talk about it. And it's very interesting to have that approach of the local people, the like I always tell the captains or the people helping on the boats, you are the ones who know where the moray eel sleeps, where the shark eats, where the fish takes a nap. They know so much that I truly encourage everybody to talk to them, talk to the guides, just point out the things or describe them. Sometimes people come out of the water and they say, look, I saw something, it was purple, long, with this and that. What is it? And then I just have to build this image in my head to try and picture, whether it was a coral, whether it was a sponge, and then we start asking questions. And when we finally find it, people are so happy that they found out about something they had no idea before. So I think that curiosity, like almost children-like curiosity, is super important to discover the natural environment. And maybe people are a little bit shy sometimes, and they don't want to ask because they feel there are disadvantages. Like if I ask, then everybody's going to know that I didn't know. But it's totally the opposite. Go ahead and ask everybody. The worst that can happen is someone will tell you they don't know.
I love that word used, childlike, and I think that, it goes beyond the marine world. But I think as adults we lose a bit of that childlike curiosity because we're afraid to say we don't know, or we're just or we're just afraid to even ask or talk to a stranger. Where if you're childlike, kids talk to everybody. They always why, or what's this,
exactly.
and they have no shame or anything about it. They really want to know, and it's to be able to drop some of those barriers or the insecurities about asking questions. It just opens up the whole world.
Yes, and also because in traveling you learn so much And then you're able to share that with other people who might not have come to Mexico yet, for example. So if you talk about your experience and you tell them what you learned while you were on that trip, they're going to be inspired to come and visit as well. And that's very important because we share a lot of common things with other countries, but we also have many unique features, let's say, that people can only come and see over here. So that's how we get the true and genuine promotion of our destination. We have to tell people what we know about the place, about the community, how we do things, or the things that you learn in a certain place. And then other people will be like, I'm going to Mexico. What have I been waiting for, you know? For me, it's an experience of sharing, and I do it with my work, but I also encourage people to go and tell your neighbor, your family, your friends, and we also try and provide them with photos or any information. Like I tell my divers, even if within a year from now you think of something that you want to ask, please write us an email, because the experience is not going to be over the minute you walk away to go back to your hotel. Please write us emails and questions and let us know what we can do for you, you know, so that experience is continuing.
I have to ask you, Tamara, you know, your passion, it comes through in your words, in your voice. Do you ever leave the Riviera Maya, Puerto Morelos, to go see other parts of Mexico? Have you traveled a lot within the country?
Yes, well, a lot, not a lot, but as much as I can, yes. And of course, I love exploring this area. I love going back to the places that I was visiting and discovering when I was in university, when I was in Yucatan, and I really like to go and just it's not that I'm nostalgic of the past, but I go there and try to compare how it is now to how it was 10 years ago or how it was when I was growing up, you know. I'm a huge fan of the cenotes. I'm a huge fan of the walks in the jungle. I absolutely love going to the Spanish villages, the colonial villages of Valladolid, and I can go 100 times. I'm never tired. I'm always surprised by looking at so many colors, the people, the different way that they have to dress, to, you know, just conduct themselves. I think maybe because I grew up on this side where we have a lot of stimulation of people from abroad, and everything tends to be very American and very, you know, we are surprised or motivated by what looks foreign. And when I go to those villages in Mexico or to Cusama or to Progreso, then I feel that I'm connecting back to the real reason that we're all here. You know, we are not just a 30-year-old city or village. It goes way back. And I really like to go to different cenotes also when I'm diving. I think I'm the perfect tourist because I'm from here, but I'm surprised like it was the first time I have been. So sometimes I'm more excited that people coming on holidays just for showing them, look at these Mayan ruins and you know, all this heritage is just passed through, I guess, from my parents. So that's the way that I share it with other people as well. I've also traveled in Mexico. 2 years ago, I went to the Pacific coast. We took a car and we did a road trip from here in Puerto Morelos, and we drove south and we went across to Calakmul, all the way to Chiapas, and then we went to the Pacific coast and did Oaxaca and Guerrero, and then we finished in Mexico City. So that was 3 weeks of travel, and it was truly fantastic. It was just so different from the beach that I see over here and being on the Pacific. It was just, amazing. I loved it. And then last year we did a diving trip. So we went to Baja California, and that was yet another amazing experience. Every place that I go to in Mexico is so different from the previous I've seen. So yeah, I think I'm just going to be a traveler forever, even if I'm traveling within an hour or 15 hours on a plane, you know?
I totally understand. I feel the same way. I love to be going somewhere. It doesn't matter where, just let's go.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips? If you had 3 tips you could give to someone who's visiting the area, whether it's someplace special that you love to go to, whether it's a place to eat or an experience they should that they should participate in, or something that will really enrich their visit here, what would those pieces of advice be?
Well, I think one of those tips would be certainly going to a little bit inland. It can be in the south of Quintana Roo to see some places near Felipe Carrillo Puerto, because there's some very interesting villages in that area, or whether it's to Valladolid or something like this. I think it changes completely the way people look at Mexico when they've been here in the Mayan Riviera, and then they move a little bit inwards in the Yucatan Peninsula. It gives you a window into very old times of 400 or 500 years ago and how it was during the colonies and the remains that we have from the colony. I think it's very interesting to understand Mexico as a culture. That would be like the cultural tip, let's say, that I would recommend. And then I think that when we look at, for instance, Tulum or Cobá or Uxmal, we are just touching these huge boulders and stones that our ancestors moved literally and shaped one by one and put them together in a super complex net of buildings and cities that are astronomically connected. This is like out of this world for me. So I would definitely encourage people to go and see an archaeological site. And I always recommend them to take a guide, because the Mayan local guides are amazing. They have so much information. They speak their language, and they can teach you words in Mayan. And it's people that are really happy to share, not only about the site that you're visiting, but also about their daily life or how they speak French, English, French, and German, you know. Sometimes it's just super interesting to spend the day with them. So when I'm visiting Mayan ruins, I'm always trying to take a local guide. And the good thing is that there's archaeological sites pretty much everywhere. So if you're staying in the Mayan Riviera, you can easily go to Tulum and not spend a lot of time and money going. And if you have a little bit more of a budget and time, then you can make it all the way to Uxmal and go and see something a little bit further away. And then the third recommendation that I would give is to either go to the reef at some point, diving, snorkeling, however you're comfortable, but go and see the coral reef. We, in Puerto Morelos, we have a pretty large stretch of natural coral reef, and we also have a shipwreck, and it's all within a natural protected area. So it's really important that people go and realize that these places were protected maybe 15, 20 years ago, and that we are doing great efforts to keep them that way, you know. Go and see the big barracudas and the parrotfish and the eagle rays. It's really going to change the way you see the place that we live in, and maybe even make you feel like you want to move to Mexico. Yeah. So that would be my top 3. Like see a typical city or village, and then go see some archaeological site, and then go and jump in the water for sure.
That trio is a great trilogy to, or actually, I don't think trilogy is the right word. The trio of those 3 things are absolutely going to give a mind-blowing experience and one of those memories of a lifetime.
I think so, yeah. And then there's other things that you can do. I always try and talk people into going to the botanical garden in Puerto Morelos. It's such a nice walk in the jungle. It's about 2 hours, but you can cut it short if you don't feel like walking. But you just get to see a piece of greenery like no other, and you might see monkeys and you might see coatis and, so many birds, excellent for bird watchers, and just takes you to a place that looks like the spots that are now super developed and how it was before we built all those hotels and before we had all those roads and streets and, like you were saying, traffic lights. It was it brings me back to my childhood, when we would see monkeys crossing the street or a crocodile in your garden, stuff like that. You go to the botanical garden, you might get to see something like it was in the 80s.
Yeah. Wow. The botanical gardens. I haven't been there in a long time, and I sometimes forget what a beautiful place it is. And it's just a great experience in nature, especially I love all the birds, and it's really a beautiful spot just south of Puerto Morelos.
Yeah. And, they've built an observation tower now.
Oh, interesting.
So it's, for me, I hadn't climbed up, but I had some people visiting recently, and we went to do the walk, and right by the mangrove, you have this observation tower. You climb up, and you can see all the way to the ocean over the mangroves of Puerto Morelos. So this view, I don't think any other building in the area has it. It's truly amazing. You watch over the mangroves, and as far as your eyes can go, then you realize that you're looking at the ocean in the back, and you don't even you cannot even tell exactly where the village is because it's all just green.
Oh, wow. I'll have to check it out for sure. Tamara, I have enjoyed listening to you and chatting with you, and I hope that you will come back and be a guest on the show again. How can people reach out to you, say hello, get information, perhaps come and go diving with you? What's the best way to reach you?
Well, we have a website. This is manatusmexico.com, easily reachable through email. That would be info@manatusmexico.com. And we're also on Facebook as Manatus Mexico, Instagram Manatus Mexico, and Twitter Manatus Mexico. And that's pretty much very easy if you remember Manatus, which is the scientific name for the manatee. So, you can also call us. We have all the information on the website, and we answer messages as quick as we can, either on the official Facebook page, or if you happen to be in one of the forums and you come across my contact, you realize that this is Tamara from Manatus, you can also send me a personal message. I'm super happy to answer any questions that you have, whether you're coming diving or not. I always tell people when they're writing me emails to book trips, please feel free to ask, because I'm happy to give you the insights and how to get here, and anything that I can do to help people visit this place in a better way, I'll do it. Of course, I'd love to take everyone diving. We have also some special marine biology courses that we do in Puerto Morelos, in Akumal, in Playa. So we are available to take you to the best spots and to teach you everything we know about the area.
Beautiful. Excellent. Wow. Just to remind everybody who's listening is that we will have links over to Tamara's Facebook page, the website, all our contact information. So if you just want to go to today's show notes at locogringo.com/podcasts, you can click over easily and get all the information to reach Tamara and read up on her website and all the great activities that she offers. Tamara, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Kay. I look forward to having you over one of these days. We can go snorkeling together.
We will make that happen. And I want to get back in the water. I haven't had a chance to dive in a long time. So yes, after high season, we'll make that happen.
All right. That's great.
Well, are you inspired now to move down here? Do you want to move down here and have a little place of your own? Well, then you need to talk to our friends at By Playa. You know, they have a friendly and knowledgeable international staff. They speak lots of languages, and they are known as being a buyer's agent. Well, what does that mean? That means they are only going to show you and sell you properties they know that have escrituras. An escritura is a title. And it's part of their due diligence to make sure the title is clear, there's no liens, and that the person who's selling the property is actually the owner. Buy Playa works with lawyers that specialize in fideicomisos, which is a Mexican trust. You may have heard of it already before. And they can address things such as capital gains problems immediately and right up front, so that you have no surprises along the way to closing. So contact our friends at Buy Playa at buyplaya.com. Well, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in today. But before you go, just a reminder that if you have the desire to go snorkeling, diving, or any type of adventures or experiences here in the Riviera Maya in Yucatan, you can reach out to our concierge, Paulina. You can email her, concierge@locogringo.com. She's happy to help. And what you may not know is that Loco Gringo has an ebook called Loco Adventures from Sea to Cenotes on the Mexican Caribbean coast. So you may want to check that out. It's on Amazon, Google Play, iTunes. Download a copy to your favorite electronic gadget.
Thanks for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe. For links, show notes, and more information, head on over to locogringo.com or give us a call toll-free at 800-478-0081.
Porque se tragó la luna, estaba enferma la rana. Su madre soba que soba, dedos de pluma la panza. Pensó ranita que luna era una toronja blanca. Y aunque la luna es de leche, la leche estaba cortada. Croa, croa, dedos de pluma. Croa, croa, dedos de agua. Croa, croa.